In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, it is an honor to welcome you all to this presentation. Today, we will explore the art and science of teaching, learning, and assessment, guided by structured frameworks and innovative strategies. Our focus is not only on imparting knowledge, but on creating a process where learning becomes meaningful, impactful, and transformative. My name is Mariam Nadeem Awan, and I am currently serving as a lecturer in English at Fauji Foundation College for Girls, New Lalazar, Rawalpindi. Before we dive into the details, let me give you a quick overview of what this presentation will cover. We will start by understanding the assessment framework, its purpose, and how it serves as a guide for meaningful teaching and learning. We will also explore how to navigate through it effectively to align teaching practices with learning outcomes. Then we will discuss how to create an effective revision plan that maximizes time and focus on key areas for improvement. Then I will share practical tips and tricks to help both the teachers and the students approach assessments more confidently. Then we will wrap up with the conclusion summarizing what the teachers are supposed to do as a part of their job in helping the students. Assessment framework is a critical tool that bridges the gap between teaching and learning. Understanding this framework is essential because it ensures that our teaching strategies align with the desired learning outcomes for the students. The assessment framework provides a structured guide for evaluating students' knowledge, skills, and abilities. It is based on student learning outcomes, which clearly define what students should know and be able to do after completing a lesson or a unit. We'll also look at how to effectively navigate through this framework, focusing on identifying key areas, prioritizing important skills, and using it to design better assessment that reflects real learning. The assessment framework is meticulously designed to evaluate both the content knowledge and the critical thinking skills, providing a balanced approach to gauging students' abilities. This slide outlines the dual focus of the framework, examining key content areas and achieving measurable learning outcomes. For example, the screenshot from the curriculum given in the slide tells us that the benchmark was to discover the literal and contextual meaning of words and phrases, which led on to examining the literal and contextual meanings of words and phrases. This gave us the SLOs mentioned below. The student learning outcomes are defined as clear, specific, and measurable objectives that guide the teaching and assessment process. These outcomes are structured to progressively build skills as students advance through the grade levels. These skills, which are to be built progressively, are mentioned in the curriculum. The SLOs given in an ascending order going from ninth to second year tell us that initially the students critically discuss how authors use language, including figurative language, and evaluate its impact on meaning and tone. In 10th, they go on to building on the previous stage. Here, students critically assess their own comprehension and analyze others' interpretations, fostering collaborative and reflective learning. In first year, students are expected to evaluate language use more deeply, engaging with diverse viewpoints and challenge assumptions presented in the text. In second year, the students demonstrate advanced critical thinking by justifying their opinions, making thoughtful recommendations, and developing an interest in exploring diverse texts with a discerning lens. The assessment framework is designed to ensure a progression of skills, beginning with foundational understanding and culminating in advanced analytical and expressive capabilities. By aligning the teaching process with these outcomes, the framework develops well rounded, critical thinkers who can evaluate, interpret, and communicate effectively across a range of contexts. By focusing on both content mastery and skill development, the framework equips students with the tools they need to succeed academically and beyond, fostering lifelong learning and critical inquiry. This section focuses on how assessment is structured, addressing the types of assessment and the cognitive levels they target. These elements ensure that teaching and evaluation are aligned to promote effective learning outcomes. The framework distinguishes between two types of assessments: formative and summative. Formative assessments are part of the regular teaching and learning process. For example, SLO E9B36 involve examining how an author develops and contrasts the perspectives of characters, which is evaluated during classroom activities rather than the final exams. Whereas the summative assessments are conducted at the end of a learning cycle, often in the form of annual exams. For instance, SLOE 9B37 focuses on analyzing elements of a story, such as how the setting influences characters and plot, which is evaluated in the final assessment. The framework also targets different cognitive levels to ensure comprehensive learning: knowledge, understanding, and application. At the knowledge level, students recall factual information such as identifying key story elements. The understanding level involves explaining and analyzing concepts such as plot development. At the application level, students demonstrate their ability to apply these skills, for example, evaluating the impact of a narrative perspective in a story. This slide explains how to interpret the structure of the student learning outcomes and what each part of the SLO code represents. The first part, E9, stands for English for grade 9th. Similarly, E10 represents English for grade 10th. In the same way, E11 and E12 represent English for first year and English for second year, respectively. The second part, B3, or any similar code, represents the competency area. For example, B3 in this context relates to reading and analyzing informational texts. The last part, 8, indicates the specific point or learning objective within the competency. It helps break down the larger competency into smaller, measurable outcomes. The Table of Specifications, or TOS, provides a detailed breakdown of how questions are distributed across different competencies and cognitive levels in the exam. It is designed to ensure a balanced and fair assessment that aligns with the curriculum and the student learning outcomes, providing a clear roadmap for both the teachers and the students. TOS divides questions into three cognitive levels: knowledge, understanding, and application. Knowledge, which is 30%, focuses on recalling facts and basic concepts, such as definitions or simple identifications. These questions assess the foundation of students' learning. Understanding, which is 50%, evaluates the student's ability to explain, interpret, and analyze concepts, testing their grasp of the subject beyond memorization. Application, which is 20%, challenges the students to apply their knowledge in practical or unfamiliar contexts, requiring problem solving and constructive thinking. The questions are further categorized into three main competency areas, with marks allocated proportionally to their significance. Competency B, Reading and Critical Thinking, is allocated 12 marks, which constitutes 14% of the total. This section assesses students' comprehension skills and their ability to critically evaluate texts. Competency C, Vocabulary and Grammar, carries 28 marks or 34% of the total. It tests students' proficiency in language, structure, and vocabulary, emphasizing their command over fundamental linguistic elements. Competency D, Writing, holds the highest weight with 44 marks, amounting to 52% of the total. This section evaluates students' ability to produce structured, coherent, and well developed responses, reflecting the importance of expressive and productive skills in their assessment. Writing skills dominate with 52%, followed by grammar and vocabulary at 34% and reading comprehension at 14%. This distribution highlights the emphasis on productive skills, ensuring students are equipped with essential expressive capabilities while maintaining a balance with critical reading and linguistic knowledge. A few critical points about the TOS are worth noting. The table is specific to the model question paper and may not necessarily represent broader assessment policies. Where alternative questions are provided for internal choices, the TOS ensures they maintain consistent cognitive levels and difficulty across options, ensuring fairness for all students. This table shows the preferred allocation of different cognitive levels to the questions in each section of the question paper. These percentages reflect a balanced distribution of cognitive demands, ensuring that the assessments are neither too simple nor too complex. An additional percentage of 5% or a reduced percentage of 5% variation is allowed, maintaining flexibility while adhering to the framework. This allocation strategy ensures that assessments are comprehensive, challenging students across different levels of thinking. It provides a systematic way to evaluate memory, comprehension, and critical thinking in a single paper while not making it impossible for the students to pass or score a good grade. The assessment framework gives us clarity about the student learning outcomes and how they translate into an actual question paper. The provided model paper serves as an example, showing us the format, types of questions, and weightage assigned to different skills and competencies. For instance, in this question, the framework highlights the importance of critical reading skills by providing a passage and related comprehension tasks. The SLO aligns with understanding, summarizing, and critically analyzing the passage. So, for the students, the model paper gives a clear understanding of what to expect in the exam, whether it is summarizing, vocabulary, or application based questions. It helps them prepare systematically, focusing on key skills like summary writing, contextual analysis, and understanding consequences or suggestions. On the other hand, the model paper guides teachers in designing classroom activities and assessments that align with the framework. It ensures consistency in preparing students for their exams. With the aligning of the assessment framework with the model paper, the teachers and the students gain a structured and clear roadmap for success in exams, making the entire process transparent and outcome driven. The assessment framework provides clarity by showing each question in the paper is aligned with specific student learning outcomes, competencies, and cognitive levels. This alignment ensures that the questions effectively evaluate the intended learning objectives and maintaining consistency in testing key skills. Each question is listed by its section, question number, and the marks allocated to it. For example, point 14, Section B, Question 2, Part 1 carries 6 marks and focuses on providing an objective summary of fiction or poetry texts. The questions are mapped to specific competencies. For instance, the same question is under competency D, which relates to writing and summarizing. The alignment indicates which SLO the question addresses. For example, Section B, Question 2, Part 1 targets SLO E9B31, requiring students to summarize content objectively. Cognitive level for each question is explicitly mentioned, highlighting the type of thinking required: knowledge, understanding, and application. For instance, Section B, Question 2, Part 2 is at the understanding level, requiring students to apply skimming and scanning strategies to infer the main idea and distinguish between fact and opinion. This alignment ensures that questions are structured to evaluate a balanced mix of competencies, cognitive levels, and skills. It helps teachers design lessons that prepare students specifically for the skills and knowledge being tested. For students, it provides clarity on which area to focus on for achieving better performance. The assessment framework is vital because it provides a structured approach to teaching, learning, and evaluation. It ensures fairness and clarity in assessments while serving as a roadmap for both teachers and students. By aligning questions with cognitive levels, the framework ensures that all types of learners are assessed comprehensively, from basic knowledge recall to higher order skills like application and analysis. The majority of the assessment focuses on understanding concepts. This level requires students to explain, summarize, or interpret information, ensuring they comprehend what they have learned. So, for the students who have issues with application, they can work on their knowledge and understanding and still get 80% marks. A revision plan is a structured schedule designed to help the teachers and the students organize and optimize the study time before an exam or an assessment. It ensures that students cover all the essential topics systematically and prepare effectively for the final evaluation. The assessment framework and the revision plan work hand in hand. While the framework provides the blueprint for evaluation, the revision plan ensures that the students are fully prepared to meet those expectations in a structured and focused manner. The first step in creating an effective revision plan is to set clear goals and objectives. These goals provide direction and ensure that the revision period is productive and focused on measurable outcomes. The goals should be specific, such as mastering SLO like E9B31, which focuses on providing objective summaries of fiction and poetry. For example, a clear goal could be practice summarizing three fiction and poetry texts with objective analysis. This aligns with the SLO and ensures targeted preparation. Goals like learn everything or do better in English are too broad and unmeasurable. They don't provide a clear focus for the students or the teachers. Instead, link goals to specific outcomes. The second step in creating an effective revision plan is identifying the topics to cover. A well structured list ensures that no area is overlooked and time is allotted properly based on the importance and difficulty of each topic. Every major and minor topic should be included in the list to ensure comprehensive preparation. For example, in grammar, both broader topics like the tenses and specific subtopics like gerund phrases or silent letters should be clearly mentioned. This avoids missing smaller components that can often appear in exams as part of MCQs or application based questions. Divide the topics into sections that can be revised in each lesson or session. This means that tenses and literary devices cannot be taught in a single session. They need to have sessions of their own. The table of specifications provided in the assessment framework is a critical tool. It outlines the weighing and the importance of each topic based on cognitive levels, knowledge, understanding, and application. This ensures your focus aligns with the assessment requirements. Just know that you cannot work on application until you have knowledge and understanding completely covered. If you are unable to do that, do not move to application because you need knowledge and understanding for it. Time management is critical when it comes to preparing for assessments. By organizing study sessions effectively, students can balance their focus across different areas while avoiding last minute cramming. Divide your revision into short, focused sessions to maintain productivity. Design a balanced timetable that can cover grammar, vocabulary, writing, and comprehension. Ensure all areas are revised multiple times over the revision period. Incorporate practice sessions using model question papers to stimulate time bound conditions. For example, practice questions like write the rhyme scheme of the stanza, explain any two poetic devices used in the stanza, illustrate the meaning of easy wind and downy flake. These help students become familiar with the structure and time requirements of the exam. Effective time management ensures that students not only cover all topics but also have ample time for revision and practice. By following a structured plan, they can enter the exam room confident and well prepared. Having access to the right resources is crucial for effective preparation. A diverse range of resources ensure students gain a well rounded understanding and are fully prepared for assessment. Use a variety of resources like model question papers, SLOs, and curriculum books and notes. And avoid relying solely on a single textbook as it will limit exposure to diverse perspectives and question formats. For example, the passage in the slide is taken from the English Grammar and Composition by Scholar Publications, with the passage providing a sample for what could come up in the exams. Regular testing and practice are essential to track progress, identify weak areas, and build exam confidence. It ensures that students are exam ready and familiar with the type of questions they will encounter. Schedule weekly tests to evaluate understanding and retention. These tests should cover various competencies such as grammar, comprehension, and writing. Encourage the students to review their own work or exchange it with peers for constructive feedback. This fosters critical thinking and highlights improvement areas. Incorporate questions that challenge students' analytical and evaluative skills. For example, practice analyzing an author's use of figurative language or crafting detailed summaries. Flexibility is also a vital component of a successful revision plan. It allows students to adapt to their progress and focus on areas that need more attention. Spend additional time on challenging areas such as poetry analysis or essay writing to ensure these topics are thoroughly understood. If students struggle with a particular concept such as figurative language, adjust the plan to revisit and reinforce those areas. If your revision plan is not yielding results, adapt it to suit the student's needs. A rigid approach can hinder progress, whereas testing and practice ensures steady progress, while flexibility keeps the plan dynamic and student centered. Tracking progress is essential as it helps the teachers and the students focus their efforts where they are needed most, ensuring no gaps in preparation. Create a checklist of completed topics to monitor what has been covered and what still needs attention. This ensures a systematic approach to revision. Incorporate a tracker like the one shown in the table to compare scores across the questions, like comprehension, poetry, objectives, and all other questions. For example, student 1 has strong comprehension but needs improvement in poetry. Student 2 struggles with both comprehension and poetry, needing focused attention in these areas. Use insights from the tracker to revisit weak topics or allocate additional time for areas with lower scores. Avoid revising without tracking what has been covered. This may lead to skipping important topics or repeating well mastered areas unnecessarily. Facing multiple choice questions can be intimidating, specifically when options seem similar. However, using a systematic elimination process simplifies the task, helps you focus on the most logical choice, and saves time during the examination. Read the question and options carefully. For example, in the given verse, the fair breeze blew, the winter foam flew. We are asked to identify the poetic device it illustrates. The options are alliteration, anaphora, refrain, and allusion. Option 1, alliteration. The repetition of the same initial consonant sound in closely connected words. The repetition of the B in breeze and blue and F in foam and flew clearly aligns with this definition. Likely correct, but continue evaluating. Anaphora is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive lines or clauses. We do not have successive lines or clauses in the statement. No such repetition is present here. Refrain is a repeated line or phrase for emphasis in poetry or song. Again, as there are no successive lines or clauses, no such repetition can be seen. This verse lacks repetition of entire lines or phrases. Allusion is a reference to a person, place, event, or literary work. There is no such external reference in the verse. That means A is the correct option. Breaking down each option reduces confusion and ensures a logical approach to solving questions. This method avoids unnecessary guesswork and focuses on evidence based decision making. By systematically eliminating incorrect answers, students are more certain about their final choice. Summary writing can seem like a daunting task. However, breaking it down into simpler steps makes it extremely easy. You have to start by reading the passage twice, identifying key information. Look for the main idea and focus on the supporting details that explain or expand the main idea. Underline or highlight the important points that you need to keep in the summary. For example, in the given passage, mention the causes, effects, and solution. I would suggest simply highlighting phrases or keywords instead of entire sentences to maintain clarity. This will make sure that your summary is not entirely copy pasted from the passage but still has the same touch. This slide shows the important points highlighted in light blue. Reorganizing these points, the summary was constructed. Pollution was highlighted in black. That means it can become the title of the passage. Elaborating more on the topic of writing a title, it needs to be kept in mind that it is one step which should never be overlooked. It guarantees you getting the one mark that you obviously need. You should go for simpler titles as given in the slide, like watching meteors or meteor shower, as opposed to constructing a difficult one which may not be even related to the passage, resulting in deduction of marks. It would be great if you could just pick a couple of words from the passage itself and use them as your title, as they obviously will be related to the passage itself. Poetry questions often seem daunting because of their intricate language and layered meanings, but with the right approach, you can simplify them into manageable steps. Always start with paraphrasing your entire passage. This involves rewriting the stanza in a simple sentence form and makes it easy for you to understand it. For example, if the stanza says, I saw the different things you did, but always you yourself you hid, you can rephrase it to mean, I noticed your actions, but you kept your true self hidden. This clarity will form the basis of your analysis. Now, when you have to write the theme or the tone of or something similar, just create a statement like the tone of the stanza is laced with curiosity, and then you will move to write the paraphrasing of the stanza, which will serve as the logical reasoning required to make your response accurate and well explained. Another great approach here would be to have repetitive answers for the poetic devices. For example, in the given answer in light blue, just replace the verses and it will serve as the answer for enjambment for every single poem that you have studied. Similarly, for the answers in this slide, you only have to replace the words and the phrases given in bold, and the format of the answers can serve your answers for all these poetic devices. In addition to that, if you get a question where two or more poetic devices are to be identified, you can always go for alliteration, assonance, consonance, caesura, and enjambment as they are present in all stanzas. On the topic of repetition, please remember that repetitive responses will keep you from losing marks. For example, the given job applications have the introduction where the applicant expresses interest and mentions the advertisement, a brief description of qualification and relevant skills, contact details, and a polite conclusion leaving a professional impression. However, if you compare the two, most of the content is same, with slight changes in the work experience, education, and skill highlight. The rest of the content stays the same. Same is the case with these two formal letters. Obviously, the address will be the same. However, the first paragraph and the last paragraph are also identical. This will also ensure that the students get maximum marks as expected in this question. And for the students who think that they cannot write a complete formal letter on their own, will only have to write the main content, the second paragraph, which consists of 3 to 5 sentences, and elaborate on the problem or the request, providing necessary details or reasoning. For these repetitive responses, I would suggest that you have the students write them over and over again. If your students are working on the poetic devices, write the answer that I had given on the slide for alliteration and have your students identify alliteration in all the poems of the book. Have them write the answers in a single sitting. They will continue to reproduce the same answer over and over again, and by the end of the lesson, they will have developed muscle memory for that particular answer, ensuring that they do not make any mistake if it comes up in exams. Do the same for the composition part of the paper as well. Have the students prepare sheets with the address written on top on every single page. For example, if you have 5 questions of letters for them to write, have them prepare 5 pages with the address written on it. They will constantly write the address 5 times, ensuring that they develop muscle memory. Then come to the first paragraph and the last paragraph, which is going to stay the same. They will write all of that down 5 times and remember it. Remember the content basically. Then, when the letter is completed and they have filled in the body, have them write the ending, the complementary clause, over and over again so that they don't make any mistake while completing their letters. The do as directed questions, which is question 4 in SSC and question 5 in HSSC, evaluate a range of grammatical skills through directed tasks. It ensures a thorough assessment of students' understanding of sentence structure, punctuation, and transitions. This question has internal choices. However, instruct the students to write answers to all and not only the selected ones based on choice. The correct ones will be marked. It will not matter if the first 4 are correct or the last 4 are correct. You will only have to write 4 correct as per the first question mentioned on the slide. This will ensure that the students get maximum marks in this question, as this presents the opportunity for students to get full marks. For paragraph writing, dialogue writing, or essay writing, have your students jot down the meaningful sentences related to the topic first. Make sure that the sentences can stand alone as a complete meaningful idea. Organize these ideas into a logical order using connectors and construct a complete paragraph using them. For essay writing, do the same thing, but when it comes to a particular point, for example, reading improves vocabulary and communication skills. Let this be your paragraph and elaborate on it. Write 2 points for reading improving vocabulary and write 2 points for reading improving communication. This will give you a 5 sentence paragraph which will be well structured and meaningful. The 5 sentences given here will help you construct 5 individual paragraphs for your essay. Following the same process, start by brainstorming meaningful sentences that could be part of a conversation. Here, for example, students are discussing their revision strategies for exams. List sentences first that help clarify the main idea and keep the content focused. Assign roles to each line, transforming the sentences into dialogue form. This step will allow you to visualize the interaction between the characters. Then, organize the sentences in a logical sequence, maintaining a natural conversational flow. When it comes to direct and indirect speech, students are intimidated by only one rule, which is shift in the verb forms. Make it simple for them. Do not give them one tense and then 50 rules related to that specific tense, then the next tense and 50 rules for that again. Just have them understand that all present tenses are changed into past tense. For example, as per the examples given on the slide, play is changed into played, am going is changed into was going, have read is changed to had read, have been reading is changed into had been reading. So basically 3 rules that they have to remember over here. Then tell them all past tenses will change to past perfect. Simple past will be changed into past perfect tense. For example, studied French, had studied French. Past continuous will be changed into past perfect continuous, was studying, had been studying. Other than that, there are changes in modal verbs. Can is changed into could, may is changed into might, will is changed into would. You will have to assess if the sentences require the change for must and shall to be changed to had to and should, respectively. Mostly they are not, sometimes it is acceptable. Just assess if the change is required on the basis of the sentence given. Similarly, active passive voice ends up being a tricky grammatical concept for students. You can make it simpler for them by telling them if there is no helping verb and there is first form of verb, add is/am/are. If there is no helping verb and there is second form of verb, add was/were. Going from present to past. In present there is is/am/are, in past it is was/were. When there is will, you just simply add be. When there is ing in the active sentence, there will be being in the passive sentence. Repeating ing in the passive voice. If there is has, have, or had, just add been in the sentence. And since we added be with will, the modal verbs will be dealt the same way. Also tell them that only the third form of verb will be used in the passive sentences. Now, if you look at the slide, 9 out of 11 rules are already covered. Have them practice for imperative and interrogative sentences separately. Please remember that our purpose is to make things easier for the students, not make the concepts difficult for them. So just try to make it as simple for them as possible through whatever works for you. This method may not work for you, it may work for me. So just try different strategies in order to get the best outcome. As we conclude this session, here is a list of references that form the foundation for this presentation. These include seminal works and essential guidelines that ensure the authenticity and the alignment of our content with the established educational frameworks and principles. This curated list of references not only validates the content but also serves as a resource for educators and stakeholders to delve deeper into the principles and practices we discussed. As a conclusion for this presentation, I would like to draw upon the wisdom of the Holy Quran, which profoundly emphasizes the power of education, the sanctity of knowledge, and the transformative role of teachers. In Surah Al Alaq, Allah commands, "Read in the name of your Lord, who created, who taught by the pen," reminding us that the journey of learning is a divine act, rooted in the very essence of creation. It reflects how reading and writing, tools of education, are gifts from Allah that elevated humanity from ignorance to enlightenment. This foundation aligns perfectly with our efforts to nurture structured learning, such as the framework we have explored today. Furthermore, Surah Az-Zumr beautifully declares, "Are those who know equal to those who do not know?" This rhetorical question elevates the status of knowledgeable, underlying the unparalleled value of learning and teaching. It inspires us to recognize the role of teachers as torchbearers, guiding others to clarity, understanding, and action, much like the strategies and the framework that we have discussed. These verses illuminate how education empowers individuals and transforms societies. Together, these verses remind us that learning is not just an intellectual process, but a spiritual and moral responsibility, a trust that we, as teachers, facilitators, and learners, must uphold with dedication and sincerity. And with that, we come to the end of this presentation. Thank you for your time and attention throughout the session. It has been a pleasure to share insights and strategies that aim to simplify and enhance the teaching and learning process. I hope this session has been beneficial for you in your pursuit of knowledge and excellence. Please feel free to share your feedback or ask any questions. And may we continue to grow in knowledge and wisdom.